Hey everybody, we are back. It's Hanshin Tigers Substack News or something like that. My name is Trevor, also known as T-Ray. I've been bringing the Hanshin Tigers English news to the world for the better part of a dozen years now, almost. And stopped doing that on my own website. Now do it mostly via Substack. But I love talking Hanshin Tigers, and I can't stop. So here we are. And with me is another person that I believe is in the same boat as me, loves Hanshin Tigers, loves talking Hanshin Tigers, and can't stop. Am I right, Sanjay?
You've got it right, my man.
Well, it's got to kind of, in a way, come to an end here because the season has now come to an end a little bit prematurely, I might add. Although when we recorded just what, 4 days ago, we were saying, yeah, it's going to come to an end Thursday night at Koshien Stadium with the Tigers winning the Japan series. The opposite happened.
Yeah, the school we got the win-loss totals correct, just the wrong side.
That's right. We must have been just looking at things through the mirror and gotten all jacked up as far as our perspective goes. But no, all said, you know, um, well, we'll lay it out right away. All three games at Koshien Stadium were one-run games. So any of them could have been won by the Tigers, if not at the end, at some point in the middle of the game, right?
Exactly.
So the Hawks come out victors 4 games to 1. Clearly the better team as far as what happened on the field. So I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not going to say, oh, we got screwed or um, the Hawks just got lucky. Like, yeah, there were a few plays that could have gone one way or the other insofar as, um, if the ball had been pushed a foot further by Sakamoto in one of the games on his hit that jammed him, we would have taken the lead and won that game. I think that was game 4 or
Mm,
3 where Imamiya made the
three,
fine play.
three, I think. Yeah.
3. Yeah. So I mean, in that respect, yes, there was a bit of luck, but it's not the luck that you would say, well, the Tigers were the better team and the Hawks were the luckier team. Not so. The Hawks are a crazy strong team. The fact that they limited our team to 1.5 runs per game over the course of the series is crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. I guess my math is off. It's a little bit higher than 1.5. But anyways,
Yeah.
no more than 2 runs in any game for the Tigers.
Tough to win in
Yeah,
that
it
situation.
it really is. I mean, even with our pitching staff, but again, like our staff, outside of game 2, which we've already kind of talked about and shall never talk about again, um, our staff held them to 3 runs or fewer in every game.
Hmm.
So, it definitely wasn't for lack of pitching. And as far as the lack of hitting goes, I mean, we'll get to this throughout the series kind of recap or whatever, but yeah, it was a lack of hitting, but it's not like our players didn't give themselves chances to score. Like we put ourselves in position to get that extra run, catch up to them, overcome them time and time again, and just didn't come through.
Yep. Which is why it played havoc with my sleep patterns because I couldn't leave any game until the very end.
Yeah, not only that, but well, I don't know about you. So, but last night, like, I'm laying in bed and of course I'm dead tired, but I couldn't stop replaying stuff in my head about this play or that moment or that this pitch or this player or whatever. Like, I don't know. Did you even sleep last night?
I did, not very well though.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, well, let's look into the series as far as Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday goes, and just ever so briefly, okay? So it was Saiki on the mound for us and Moinello for them on Tuesday, and we got the opening run on an RBI double by Sato in the first inning, and that was all that we got in the whole game. We did get runners into scoring position in every inning, fourth through ninth of that game. No
That's
runs.
crazy.
Yeah. So we got the 1 run. They tied it in the fourth with a home run by Yamakawa and took the lead in the sixth with a triple by Yanagi Machi. So a 2-1 win in game 3. Game 4, it was Takahashi for us and it was Otsu for them. The big surprise for me was that we could not get to Otsu at all through 5 innings. We literally did not threaten anything. They scored a run in the second, and then in the fifth, um, Takahashi came out because he got hit by a comebacker, but he left with the bases loaded. And if I'm not mistaken, Hatake came in, and
Mm,
it was a sac fly to get their second run. And then in the next inning with Kirishiki, they got an insurance third run. So it's 3-0 at this point. Even that one is a little bit of a lucky run in the sense that a comebacker went off Kirishiki's glove, infield hit, a bunt, and then the hit that scored the run. I don't even remember, but it was not like, oh, it was a Kondo RBI single,
Mm,
but the
yeah.
pitch was outstanding. Like it was a pitch out of the zone,
Yep.
but Kondo is just that type of hitter. So it's not like, oh, Sakamoto called for the wrong pitch or Kirishiki didn't execute. It was just being outdone by an outstanding hitter.
Hmm.
So, and that would have never even been a factor had that initial infield hit not happened. So we're playing the whole what if game or baseball's a game of inches, but that's just how close, up until now it's 3-0 for them. We pushed 2 runs across in the eighth inning, one on a Sato RBI single, I forget, and then Oyama with a ground out to second for the run to make it 3-2. We were not able to tie it up, so we lose that one 3-2. And then last night, I was at the game. We'll talk a bit at length about this one just because it is the clincher, because it's fresher, and because I've got other stuff to talk about besides the actual play on the field. But let's break it down. In the second inning, Sakamoto finally came through. And I say that because I think game 3, he had like 3 golden chances and didn't cash in on any. This one he did in the second inning with an RBI single. So it's 1-0. And then in the fifth inning, who else but Sato with the next RBI for us, and that was also a single. Both of these off of Arihara, by the way. He was their starter. Yeah, he was the Hawk starter. We brought in Otake, and so that made it 2-0. Sato with an RBI in every game of the series. How about that?
Yeah. That boy came through.
Yes, he is the one who came through. And again, we're not pinning anyone to any crosses tonight or today, so we're not going to, uh, you know, single out other guys. But Sato, our man, came through big time.
Yep.
2-0. Otake went 6 innings of 0. In fact, he didn't allow his first base runner until, wasn't it the top of the fifth?
Top of the fifth.
Yeah,
And arguable whether that was a hit or an
an error.
error, actually. Yeah.
Yeah,
They marked it a hit though.
right. I saw it from the right field stand, so I don't know exactly what happened, but it looked like it took a bad bounce. And did it hit Kinami in the face?
It hit him in his chest.
Okay.
So it took a higher hop than you would have expected. So it was slightly irregular.
Yep.
And I would say, I was telling somebody else, I said, if this were an artificial infield, that might have been called an error because the shortstop should have been able to make the play.
Right.
But because the field being what it was, um, a bad hop, and Kinami couldn't make the play. So I guess they had to call it a hit.
Right. But the fortunate thing is we got out of that inning and the next one. So Otake threw 6 shutout innings. Pretty outstanding work against his old mates.
Yeah, but he had a perfect game going until then.
Yeah.
Just,
You think that, oh, well, we need to bring our best flamethrowers up against the Pacific League Hawks, right? But one of our softest throwing pitchers handled them perfectly.
yeah.
Yeah. And he mixed in a couple of real doozies there, right? Like, didn't he have one that was like uh, I think it was in the there was a couple in the 80 km/h range.
I think even slower. He had something in the
In the,
70s too.
yeah,
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah.
but the slowest pitch was thrown by Murakami in his earlier performance. And that was like a 59 or something, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It was, I think
Yeah,
37 miles per hour is how they converted it. But yes.
yeah.
Anyhow, Oyokawa with a, well, quote unquote clean seventh as far as the number at the end of the inning was a 0. Ishii
Hmm.
came in the eighth, allowed a hit to their backup catcher, and then a home run on a first pitch low outside fastball to Yanagita. Ishii says that was the best ball that I could have thrown. I didn't think that it was going to cost us. I didn't think he would beat me, but clearly he said it wasn't, I didn't throw it wrong. I didn't miss my spot. I was just done in by an outstanding hitter. So, I mean, obviously, Yanagita is a legend, Hall of Famer, and he did it. He tied the game in the bottom of the eighth, or top of the eighth, I should say. We were unable to do anything in the eighth or in the ninth, so now our chance comes in the ninth to walk it off. We don't. In the 10th, we had a chance to walk it off. We don't. In the 11th, by the way, 10th and 11th, Murakami, our starter of game
Hmm.
one, expected starter in game 6 comes to the mound. Why? I'm not sure.
Me neither.
Like the only way I see it is maybe Fujikawa was saying, well, we're going to start our season and end our season at Koshien with our ace pitcher. That's what the fans want. But since when does what the fans want matter enough to influence a manager's decision?
Yeah. And I guess the one argument was that Fujikawa was planning on going all the way to the 12th inning. So he needed somebody that could go more than one inning at a time.
Yep. Yeah, although we did have enough arms, like we had 3 guys left besides Murakami, and also Saiki was on the bench, right? We
Yeah.
did still
Yeah.
have, I believe, 3 guys.
Yeah, we did.
However, those 3 guys were, I mean, the man that I went to the game with, the friend of mine, he was kind of saying like it really does come down to how the fans would feel. And when Murakami gave up that home run in the 11th, there you have
Hmm.
it, to Sami Nomura, um, it was like the fans were at least kind of understanding, like, well, if they're gonna win or if the team's gonna lose, and if it's Murakami on the mound, like we got no complaints. If it would have been, for example, Dolis or Ihara, you could make a case for
Hmm.
the fans and even the team being upset with the choice of pitcher. What were you doing putting a rookie on the mound with the season on the line? What were you doing with a 37-year-old mid-season acquisition on the mound with the game on the line, right? So
Yeah.
from that point of view, I get it,
Hmm.
but I also feel like he was playing to end the season there in a negative way because you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot for a possible game 6 scenario,
Yeah.
right?
And seventh, actually.
Right, exactly. So not quite sure what to make of that, but you know the game's over. The Tigers got the leadoff runner on base in the 11th. That was Sato on a walk, but the next 3 guys went down and the game ended and the tears flowed. Probably. I wasn't crying, but it was kind of a sad ending to the season.
Yes, it was a sad ending.
However, the sun rose again this morning, as it always tends to do, and so I still feel pretty good about the 2025 Hanshin Tigers season. How about you, Sanjay?
It was a heck of a run. I mean, I'm not sure that we could have predicted this at the start of the season when everybody was second guessing who the manager was.
Yeah, not a word of a lie. I didn't think the Tigers were going to finish top 2. I thought they'd be lucky to get third place this year, to be honest with you. Nothing against QG. I just felt like last year the team had a real lack of energy down the stretch. Everybody's getting a bit older. We're bringing in a new manager. The Giants won the pennant last year and they brought in extra help, and the Tigers didn't really bring in anybody. And I just thought, well, do we really have a chance to get back to the top? And I doubted the team, but look what they did.
So it was a good year.
Yeah, definitely a good year. So I'm happy. Congratulations to the team on the fastest pennant in NPB history. No one can take that away from them until somebody else beats that record. Might even be
Yeah.
next year's Tigers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So good on us for that. Players that impressed me this year that maybe weren't part of the mix last year. So like we'll throw out the Satos and the Moristas because we all know they're superstars and they had outstanding seasons. But outside of that, players that impressed me, Ihara and Takahashi as far as starting pitching goes. Ihara, had a great first half and then he kind of sputtered, as rookies tend to do, fatigue. But he's going to be an outstanding member of that rotation, I think, for years to come. Takahashi looks like he is more or less healthy, unless we get something across the news waves that he's having another offseason surgery. But hopefully, he's got all that in his rearview mirror.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, and then even, like I think if we can hang on to Duplantier, and then I really think we need to hang on to Nelson too. I think he's outstanding.
I was wondering if you were going to mention Duplantier because he's one that didn't factor into the equation early on either, and he
Right.
he had a tremendous first half of the season, right?
Right.
And I think the idea is that the team is trying to keep him,
Mhm.
but he's got other suitors looking at him like the major leaguers.
Oh
So
yeah, how could he not? And I also saw an article that has him or has rumors that the Hawks are after him as well.
mm,
But to be honest with you, like I don't know the man. I know people who know him, but I don't know him personally. But he seems to love being a member of the Tigers. He's in love with Seishiro Sakamoto. And I just
Hmm.
can't see him packing up his bags and staying in Japan and going to another team. Like if he leaves, it's going to be the Pierce Johnson way, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, but I got a call from the majors and I got to fulfill this dream of mine.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. So really, like the future is bright. We also had this year's first round draft pick, Tateishi, who looks like he's going to be a stud, right? He was the top hitter prospect in the draft, other than perhaps the guy that the Hawks got, who's not going there anyways, right? Rintaro Sasaki.
Yes, correct.
Outside of that, I think we got the best hitter in the draft. We also we can't bank on this, but we've got our first round pick from 2 years ago, Shimomura, who should be
Mm.
ready to go at some point, assuming no setbacks from his TJ that he had. When was it? The start of 2024.
Mm.
So, and then all the established guys, and then let's throw this into the mix with news. Apparently, the team is not going to post Hiroto Saiki, which means that he will be back, it seems, anyways, in 2026.
Yay.
Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be a fierce, fierce Tigers team next year. And I think the one thing that they're missing is just that one or two power bats. And it showed because we got 0 home runs in the Japan series. The Hawks got 5. And it wasn't for lack of trying or the fact that we don't have a few home run hitters, right? Because we have Sato, Morishita, and Oyama who can hit the long ball. But I think really outside of that trio, none of our guys is a real home run threat. Whereas you look at the Hawks lineup, and again, you can't always compare um, sizes or, you know, we're not standing at the urinal looking at the next guy over and saying, I want that. But um, pardon the crudeness. But like they had multiple guys that could put that ball over the fence.
Hmm.
And I think just having that one extra or two or a pinch hitter that can do that. Like I feel like our pinch hitters really were not a big threat. When you're bringing in, again, not throwing these guys under the bus, but your pinch hitters are guys like Shimada, Kinami, even Nakagawa, um, and Itohara, who didn't get into this series at all. But, guys like
Hmm.
that, it's not very scary. And there's not really that chance that, hey, this guy is going to change the complex of the game with one swing of his bat. He may
True.
change the momentum a little bit, but it's going to depend on others too, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So those are some things I think the Tigers can and will address this offseason. But for all of you out there who love the Hanshin Tigers, heads up, hold your head up high because this team had a great season for the ages and 2 pennants in 1 decade or in half a decade, I guess. Amazing.
Hmm.
Still 4 more years of the 2020s to go. So hope for more, a lot more.
There's room for more in the stadium, right?
Yeah, why not? Put up those V's up behind home plate. Let's do it. All right, Sanjay, I want to kind of, end or just like continue this show with just talking about my experience uh, at the old ballpark last night
Yeah,
for Game 5.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, well, so obviously just being able to go to a game in and of itself is a great experience. It's something that not everybody can do. I don't take it for granted. And the fact that I was kind of gifted a ticket by a friend of mine means that I'm extremely humbly grateful for this experience. So this is not a boast. This is not a I'm so great or anything. But yeah, arrived at the stadium at around 5 p.m. Come
Hmm.
out of, or arrived at the station, I say, came out of the station and I saw a TV camera, and some Hawks fans. So they're recording, I guess, for the news or for whatever, saying, hey, this could be the night. And here's the pregame atmosphere at the stadium with the Hawks fans. And the Hawks fans, they have to give their final like eru or ikigomi or like that final cheer
Hmm.
for the team. And so, the guys yelling towards the camera, Zettai katsuzo hokusu, right?
Uh,
Here we go, Hawks, or we got this one, or we're gonna win, or whatever. But as he says hokusu, there's this guy maybe 6 to 10 feet away from the camera.
hmm.
Um, his buddy's chugging a beer. He's getting something out of his bag, maybe a beer. But every time that they're about to say hokusu, because they said it like 3, 4 times, he yelled at the top of his lungs, Taigasu. And so he was kind of interfering with uh their attempt at recording something for the broadcast. And I don't know if the mics picked him up, but I hope they did. But anyhow, a closer look at the guy revealed that I had met him before.
Oh.
Yeah. So after he stopped yelling Taigasu, I was like, hey, you were at the Randy Bass talk show back in July, weren't you? And he looked up at me and he goes, you were the interpreter there. I said, yes, yes, I was. So it was a nice kind of reunion. So I guess what stood out was A, he had long hair. He's Japanese, he's got long hair, but he was with a foreigner and they were conversing in English before he started yelling out Taigasu. So that's what kind of caught my eye. But yeah, what caught my eye even at the talk show back in July was here's this long-haired dude from Tokyo or living in Tokyo who speaks pretty natural American English.
Yeah, he asked his questions in English, right?
That's right. Oh yeah, yeah, you were there. You heard him. You know who I'm talking about then.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. So that guy. And so he introduced me to his friend who he was with, who's I guess like a local here, American guy, or not American, but not Japanese either by any means. Turns out their seats were 6 rows higher up than mine, but basically in the exact same section.
Wow.
So during the game, a couple times we like I turned around and talked to them or whatever. Um, but then it was my turn. As some of you may know, if you listened really carefully to the Monday show that we put out, um, we did that show, that podcast, for the express reason of it being a part of a TV program that is expected to be aired in January here in Japan. So it's called Kansai Jin ga Shiranai Kansai.
Mm.
And I think it's a once annual. I think they do it every year. It's hosted by this really smart TV personality named Akira Ikegami. And basically, they look at these foreigners who are living in the Kansai area who have just a deep knowledge and passion for something in the Kansai region.
That most Kansai people don't know, right?
Right. Or don't
Yeah.
know to that level at the very least.
Yeah.
And so 4 years ago, I was, well, featured or I was one of the guests on this show. Had a great time, but this was during COVID, of course. And so it was a little bit different. But we did like a Zoom viewing party while watching one of the Tigers games, and they came in and recorded it. And then we brought Matt Merton into the Zoom call just as a surprise to everybody that was in on the call. You were there, right?
I was there, yeah.
Yeah. So that program, anyways, they reached out to me right after the Climax series ended, and they said, "Could you do another Zoom party?" And I said, "No." Mostly because, or really because asking foreigners living overseas to watch the Japan series online is a tall task. It's not as readily available as the games that we were watching that season, 2021. The regular season home games were all on Toratere. Japan series is not on Toratere, nor is it on any readily available streaming service for people overseas.
Hmm.
That's not to say there's not ways to watch it, but the percentage of foreigners overseas or people overseas that could tune into the game easily are much fewer. So to ask me, in a week's time to gather together enough people to do a Zoom call, fit everyone's schedules, fit my own schedule, just wasn't going to happen. And so as an alternative, they asked if we could do the podcast because it's something I mentioned that I still do. And we said, yeah, sure. And so that's why we did that one. Okay. That was a long prelude to say that they wanted to record an interview with me at the stadium last night.
Mm.
So they had a cameraman there to meet me. And so after I'd met this dude that I had seen at the Randy Bass talk show, I walked towards the stadium. I saw him and he started to interview me. And a few other people gathered around, and I could see out of the corner of my eye, there were at least two people looking right at me
Mm.
and wanting to talk to me, but also seeing that I was being recorded on camera. So they waited.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So anyhow, I just tried my best to stay locked into the TV interview. And
Hmm.
if you are able to watch TV in Japan, check it out on January 13th. Hopefully, my corner is part of the show, but there's no guarantees. Anyhow, um, so after it was done, this one lady came up to me, and this is the one that really kind of like touched me, and it was like, Kate, we got to keep podcasting. She goes, I've been listening to your podcast for a long time. Japanese lady.
Really?
Yeah. So I knew that there might be some Japanese people out there listening. Obviously, I get some of the demographics on where our downloads and streams are coming from and stuff. But to actually meet someone, she came up, she just kind of talked to me, and I don't know if I'm allowed to reveal too much information, but she was like, I go to Canada once a year to do research. And in order to practice my English and my listening skills, I listen to your podcast, and it's really helpful.
That's awesome.
It is beyond awesome. And, like this is one of the things I was hoping the podcast and the website would serve this audience or this purpose. So to actually hear from somebody kind of gives you that extra fuel to say, yeah, you know what, maybe I need to keep going because people out there care and they're using this for very noble things, not just to consume a product.
Here,
So,
here.
so we took pictures together, and actually the TV camera caught her talking to me about our show and us taking pictures together and stuff. And so that little segment might even be on there, just that little spoiler alert. But I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
And then her, and then I think one other guy, they both talked to the TV camera, and they both said, 彼はめっちゃ有名人ですよ, or something like that, right? So like, I don't know, just hearing somebody else talk about yourself saying he's really famous, it's just kind of an odd feeling.
Good for the ego.
It is. It is. Because most days I just feel like a regular English teacher that is scrapping and battling to keep my students awake. So to hear that I'm famous, like I want to kind of throw that at my students and say, hey, don't you realize whose presence you're in here? You're in the presence of fame. So wake up. Anyways, so yeah, that was pretty cool. And then I got into the game and watched the game. During the game, I ran into the friend of the long-haired guy.
Hmm.
You get
Okay.
what I'm saying here?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So the non-Japanese guy who went to the game with the Tokyo long-haired heavy metal bar
yeah,
owner, right?
yeah.
Uh, and I was just chatting with him out in the halls or whatever, and there's a different Japanese guy with him.
Okay.
And I go, who's this, your friend? And he goes, no, I married him last month.
Oh.
What? I was like, what does that mean? Right? Because the guy he was talking to was like in his early 30s, and
Mm,
this guy was probably in his early 60s. Just my
mm.
guess, so forgive me if I'm wrong, guy, if you're listening. Um, but what he meant was he's a wedding officiant.
Right. That's
And
what
he
kind of what I
married him,
expected.
not that they got married together, but he married him off. And
Yeah.
they just coincidentally met at the stadium.
That's a
They
pretty cool story
obviously,
too.
pardon me?
That's a pretty cool story too.
It is
What are
because if
what
you
are the
think about it,
odds, right?
like, and if you know the Japanese wedding industry, people get, they sign up for these wedding chapel Christian weddings, if you will. I mean, they just want the katachi or like the appearance that it's a Western wedding. And as a couple, you go in there and get all dressed and all that stuff, and everything's just a whirlwind of activity, and you don't know what's going on. You're just confused to no end about where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to say, what you're supposed to do. And about a half hour before the ceremony itself, you meet the wedding officiant, the pastor,
Hmm.
and he greets you. And then he takes you through everything that you got to do. And there's probably like 8 to 10 things that the groom and the bride have to do at any given time. And of course, their heads are all over the place. They don't have time to memorize that stuff. So it freaks them out, right? Like, oh, I got to do all this stuff. And the pastor's job is to say, don't worry, I'm going to lead you through every step during the ceremony. You don't have to remember anything. Just know what's coming, and I'll tell you what to do at any given time. And that's what we do. And I say we because I've done this job before. So, anyways, the point is, this wedding officiant met this guy, but it was probably one of a dozen weddings that he did that month, would be my guess,
Hmm. Hmm.
depending on how busy they are. But you don't remember the people that you marry off. And
Right.
chances are they're not going to necessarily remember you either because you're one part of their huge day and you're the most confusing part of their huge day,
Okay.
right? Because after the ceremony is where you have your reception party, and that's where you have the most fun. And there's still lots of steps to that too. But
Hmm.
the point is that wedding officiant, unless he's left some kind of mark on you, or impression, I should say, you're probably
Hmm.
not going to remember him until you look back at your photos. And even then, you're not looking at the officiant with that much care when you look at your pictures, probably, right? You're looking at you and your
Yeah,
bride or whatever.
right.
Well, so the fact that the groom recognized his wedding officiant in a Tigers uniform at Koshien is kind of a big
Hmm.
deal.
It is.
But then I got to talk to them, and it was just kind of fun just to see that interaction, that saikai, that reunion,
Hmm.
which is special for the groom to the point where he's like, "Ah, my wife is here at the game too, and I got to take you," meaning the the officiant, "to
Hmm.
meet my wife again." And he wanted me there too. He's like, come with me. I want to introduce you to my wife." And I was like, "Okay, but I don't have anything to do with this story." So, but I was in on that as well. So it was kind of special.
Do they know about the TV show coming up?
No, they didn't. And I mean that the cameras weren't on us at that time anyways. So
Right.
I just, I'm not promoting it at every chance that I get type of thing. So um, but I guess all that to say that, the Tigers lost 3-2 and the series is over and the season's over. But moments like that are going to stay with me a lot longer than the results on the field.
Mm. Good point.
I mean, it's stuff like that that to me makes baseball and makes pro sports and spectator sports so special.
Mm.
It's the meeting of new people and hearing about how person A had a lasting impact on person B. And if you get to be person A or person B, wow, that's a magic moment. And I had a couple of those.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah, that's my
that's very
story.
cool.
Yeah. And
Very
then after
cool.
the game, so I was interviewed again by the same TV program because they wanted to hear, well, how do you feel now that the Tigers lost and the season's over? And um, obviously, they didn't want me to come out and go rage crazy on them and start bad mouthing the players that didn't come through or that, the team sucks because they didn't get me a win. And I wasn't going to do that anyways, but they told me beforehand, they're like, hey, try to keep it positive. And I was like, yeah, of course, of course. So I did my best, but sometimes in the moment, like I knew that I had to go back and be interviewed by them. He contacted me like in the 10th or 11th inning. It's like, hey,
Mm.
after the game, come and find me. We need to talk before in front of the camera again. But the whole time I'm walking back, I'm like, what am I going to say? Like, I want to say something that's clever or that leaves an impression or that's going to make the cut, if you will.
Hmm.
That's no easy job, especially doing that in your second language. But I did my best.
Good.
So,
I'm
Sanjay,
looking
look forward
forward
to
to it.
that
I
in
am looking forward to it. Yeah.
January. January 13th is the air date, and the TV program again is called Kansai Jin ga Shiranai Kansai.
January 13 in Japan, January 12 in Hawaii.
Correct. Yes. So there you have it. That is a wrap on my Game 5 experience. That's a wrap on the 2025 season. The off season's about to begin. Player movement is going to happen. NPB awards are going to be handed out, and so on and so forth. What are you doing, Sanjay, this off season to make your life meaningful and interesting? Good
That's a good question.
question.
I'm going to start off by saying that at the moment, uh, I'm still following sports from my alma mater, so that's going to keep me going for a few months.
Mm.
And the rest of the time, I'm probably going to be reading the sports pages and tracking the new moves by Hanshin Tigers.
Yeah, but Sanjay, you and I are also going to be reading this book here, which um, is In the Japanese Ballpark by Robert K. Fitz.
That is also on my to-do list. Yes.
Kind of a shameless plug, but everybody out there, if you want to learn what is involved with running a Japanese sports team slash league, what is it like to be part of the Japanese sports world? This book by Rob Fitz has 26 chapters. So it has 26 contributors, if you will, from all different parts of the baseball world, including, I'll name a few, and if you think of others, you can, but including a baseball team owner, a former foreign player, a former Japanese player, a journalist, a beer girl, a cheerleader. What else am I missing? Lots. Interpreter.
Interpreter, yeah.
Yeah. And on and on and on. 26 people worth. So you want to find out, what does the beer girl go through in her day-to-day job? What's it like to be a cheerleader? What do the marketing teams, what are they doing? Whatever. What was it like for Matt Merton to play for the Hanshin Tigers in the 2010s? What does a sports journalist do? All that stuff. It's all in there. I've read the first 6 interviews. They're outstanding. Um, Another shameless plug, I was the interpreter for the interviews that were conducted in Japanese or with Japanese people who couldn't speak English.
Yeah, I saw that part.
Thank you. So 7, I think, 7 or 8 of the chapters, you'll be reading in English. The person who was interviewed responded in Japanese. I converted their Japanese to English, which became text. And so maybe it's no exaggeration to say that I wrote 1/3 of this book in a way.
In a way, you did. It
I
was
at
your,
least authored the choice of words.
yeah, your words made it happen.
Yes, exactly right. So you can get this book at Rob Fitz's website, which is robfitz.com, ROBFITTS.com. And I think it's right front and center right now because it is his newest book. And I believe it officially releases tomorrow, November 1st.
Oh, no kidding. I already have an advanced copy even that's signed by him.
Yeah, I
Cool.
think pre-orders, if you order it from his website, actually, as opposed to going through Amazon or some other retailer, he will send it to you, and I believe he signs the books that he sends out.
Yeah, mine was signed.
So I highly recommend going that way. It also puts a bit more money into Rob Fitz's pocket. And probably most of us are aware of this, but authors don't make lucrative amounts of money. So any extra dollars that could go to Rob are probably appreciated by Rob and his wife and his kids.
Fair, fair point.
Yes. So that will do it though, I think. We don't know, Sanjay, like when we're going to be back talking about Hanshin Tigers, but you and I have kind of talked off the air about doing other kinds of talks, right? Like maybe talking about what it's like in general to follow a Japanese baseball team, or what your experience has been like being a Tigers fan for 50 some years, or I don't know, there's all sorts of topics. What are some of the differences between MLB and NPB operations or playing style or whatever that you find interesting? Like just these notable differences, and not to cast judgment and say one is excellent and the other's terrible, even if that's the case sometimes. But just to kind of, play around with stuff like that. I think that would make really good listening for our audience and audience members. If you're listening on any of the platforms that you're catching these on, drop me a comment, or if you even want to hit me up directly, my email address remains the same, thehanshintigers@gmail.com. Give me some ideas because, as you've heard now, me and Sanjay, we love talking. And if you're okay with hearing our voices, we want to keep talking for you. So, on that note, we will thank you for your listenership today. And we look forward to hearing from you in the future. And we look forward to more Hanshin Tigers baseball in 2026. Let's hope they're making some fun moves this offseason so that we can get psyched up for a repeat, the first in team history next year.
We're not signing off by saying happy holidays, are we?
Well, you just did, but who knows when people are going to listen to this? Like the interesting thing about baseball offseason is that this all of a sudden becomes less of a time sensitive episode in a way. So they may be listening October 31st when I put this out, or they may be listening in January. But happy day to everybody out there.
There we go.
Yes, enjoy your time without Major League Baseball / Nippon Professional Baseball. And we will catch you all in the 2026 season with more baseball. And we'll catch you another time with some kind of excellent content, assuming you think we're excellent. But thank you for your listenership.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, have a good one. We're wrapping it up.